It's Wednesday night, everybody. So think of this as the vigil to Holy Thursday. So Holy Thursday, Lent is technically over. And we're about to begin the 3 days, what is called the Triduum. And what the Triduum allows you and I to do is to enter into the last 3 days of Christ's earthly life. You and I get to experience what Jesus experienced for you and me. So Holy Thursday, we institute, or what Jesus did, he instituted the Eucharist at the Last Supper. He instituted the priesthood with his disciples, and he showed his disciples the new commandment, what is called the mandatum. He does this by washing the feet of the disciples, and we will see that reenacted in our celebration tomorrow night with Father Bill washing the feet of 12 of our parishioners that represent the 12 disciples. It's a reminder for you and me that you and I are called by our Catholic faith and by what Jesus has commissioned you and I to do, to reach out always in service to our fellow human beings. So, Holy Thursday, we consecrate an enormous amount of Eucharist because there is no consecration happening on Friday. So Eucharist is consecrated not only to be used Thursday night, but also to be used on Friday. And as we end on Thursday, we end in silence, and we walk out in silence. We're also given an opportunity to venerate Jesus in the Eucharist and are invited to wait, like the disciples were invited to wait with him in the garden as he awaited his arrest. So you and I have that opportunity tomorrow night, and we do that by sitting with consecrated Eucharist that we know is Jesus, and we spend that time in prayer and in adoration for our suffering Lord. Friday is Good Friday. So we begin where we leave the evening before. We enter in silence. By now, the sanctuary is stripped bare. We come in to silence. We find a place to sit and we wait. Father Bill and Deacon Brett will probably be in the front of the church. They'll come in, they'll sit down. And when they begin, they will stand up. They will prostrate themselves in front of the altar. And then we will begin. What we do on Good Friday is, again, we relive the Passion of Jesus, this time by hearing the Gospel of St. John. And we will hear, again, what Jesus offered for you and I in his suffering, his agony, his death on the cross. And you and I are given the opportunity to meditate on that, to feel the sorrow, and to feel the pain that our sweet Savior suffered for you and I. When we've finished hearing that, we will be given the opportunity to venerate the cross of Christ. At the center of our Christian faith is the cross. And you and I embrace the cross of Christ, knowing that each of us are called to carry our own cross. On Good Friday, you and I get to venerate and honor the cross of Christ for what he has done for you and me. When all of that is over, we enter again in silence. And again, we leave knowing that it's not over, but we wait in that quiet emptiness, I guess, because it is empty. I told you, we can't celebrate yet. until Jesus is out of the tomb, you and I wait and wait for what we know as good Catholics is the culmination of how this ends. So on Holy Saturday, we begin again in silence. People will go outside for the Easter fire. Our Easter candle, which will be new, will get to process in, and the light of Christ will come into the church, an inkling of what we know to be true. And we will hear the stories of salvation, all from the Old Testament to begin with, all of the things that point in the direction of the salvation that the world has been waiting for, that is found in the person of Jesus Christ. And so we hear those readings, we hear them, we sing songs, and revel in the beauty of our salvation history. And then suddenly the lights come up. We hear from the book of Romans, the epistle, about how you and I are baptized into Christ's death. And it prepares us for what we're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate Jesus' resurrection, and we're going to do it with the baptisms and sacraments for all of our new Catholics. You and I are going to celebrate it here, but it's happening all over the world. Thanks be to God for what our vigil is. So we have 14 people coming in, 24 people coming into the church here at Holy Trinity. So we will have baptisms and sacraments and all of that, and we will experience that together and welcome them into the church. And then we will celebrate Eucharist again for ourselves and for our new Catholics who will be invited to come to the table. At the base of all of this, you and I celebrate our baptismal promises, because one of the things that we do as Catholics, besides our new Catholics making those baptismal promises, you and I make them as well. A reminder for what we have committed our lives to what we believe, what we hold true, and what we profess, and the implications of what that means. Thanks be to God for the Triduum. And Easter Sunday will be another way to celebrate the resurrection of Christ. So again, Easter Sunday morning, we will have Mass again, and we will celebrate Christ's resurrection. So don't miss it. You don't want to miss what we do these days. These are our highest and holiest days of our liturgical year. Thanks be to God for what we believe, what God has given us, and for the church. Thanks be to God. See you at Mass.